What's up, you EDC hooligans? Today we're going to be taking a look at the Bester Ratel. This is my very first custom knife, and we're going to be looking at an overview of this knife. A couple things we're going to be doing here today that's a little bit different than norm. We're going to be talking about the Instagram knife community. We're going to be talking about the maker of this knife. We're going to be talking about the deployment method of this knife, my likes, dislikes, and I'm going to round up my thoughts. The knife community on Instagram is bloody awesome. I've met a lot of wicked people on there. I've learned a ton of information, and I've come across a lot of different knives I would not have seen on the forums. Now, it's amazing how much info and how cool the people are. And one of those guys is a buddy of mine called Ray. I've never met Ray in person, but I know Ray's a cool guy. I've talked to Ray. I've talked a lot to Ray. I've exchanged and sold knives with Ray. I've gotten buddies to buy knives from Ray. And Ray is just a cool knife hooligan, and he is the one that got me in touch and put me onto this maker. And a big shout out to you, Ray. I do appreciate it, man. Without you, I would have never gotten this piece. Now, let's talk the maker. The maker of this knife is a buddy of mine called Hein. Hein is a South African cattle farmer, and in the middle of last year decided, I like knives. I'm going to make my own damn knives. And he cranked this out. That's pretty damn amazing. That's some hidden talented shit right there. You decide, now Hein's a knife guy as well, big knife collector. He's also a cattle farmer, that's his primary gig. And last year he decided, I like knives, I'm gonna make my own damn knife, and you cranked this well dialed in, fully handmade custom piece that's just amazing detail as your first knife deciding to make knives. That's some impressive shit. You gotta be on Ripley's Believe It or Not or something like that. That's some hidden talent, man. I haven't found what the hell my hidden talent is yet, but this guy has. This is an awesome knife. The aesthetics are badass, and it's just very clean. Hein is a very humble, very talented, and one hell of a genuine guy to deal with. I talk to him on a regular basis. He's also cranking out a newer model of a knife called the Black Mamba. I've already signed up for that knife. I'm on the damn list. Now here's the thing that makes this maker so badass. Every iteration of the Bester Ratel he makes, he's adding tweaks. He's making it a better knife and improving it upon every model he makes. I appreciate like that. You make something, you make it good, and you keep on making it good. You just don't stop, you keep on improving. And that's some talented shit I can recognize and appreciate. Now, Hein doesn't like the publicity, so if you want to get a hold of him, hit me a message and I'll get you his contact details if you want to get into his books. Let's talk deployment. Now, your typical traditional knife comes in two methods of deployment. You have a flipper tab here where you sort of flip your finger and it deploys the knife. And you also have knives that have a thumb stud here, which is just flick like that and deploys. Now, the method of deployment for this, which originated from South Africa, which I believe, if you can correct me if I'm wrong there, it's a front flipper tab. So you've got this little tab up here, and what you do is you roll your thumb over it and you deploy the knife. Very interesting, very unique, and I am loving this method of deployment. So let's do that one more time. You've got some jimping on there, and you've got this little tab right here. And you sort of roll your thumb over it until it locks into place. It takes some time to get used to, but once you lock it down, you just flip it like that, and it just fires right the hell out. Let's disengage. By the way, this is a frame lock. I'll go through the specs after. So, you've got the little front flipper tab up there. I'll just demonstrate that. Once you lock it in, you can deploy this bad boy like a boss, man. I mean, it just fires right out. So, let's talk specs. We've got two pieces of titanium handles. They are contoured. You've got no rough edges anywhere on this handle. It's smooth. It's also got this satin blasted look to it, which I absolutely love. And he uses the sand from his farm to blast that. I mean, how cool and how personal is that? Let's see if I can get you a better look at this knife here. You've got a titanium clip that's also been milled. And you can see the contours to flow with the actual knife contours as well. Hidden screws, another nice touch. And the titanium handles feel really good in the hand. I mean, the size of the knife, the fact that they're contoured, there's no rough edges, it's smooth. As mentioned, it's a frame lock knife. Got the ball detent right there. It's got an over travel, meaning when you disengage, this little frame lock here doesn't go any farther. I definitely appreciate that. Now, the blade. It's a hand-rubbed blade. I believe it's a Bowler N690 steel. Drop point. The overall length of the knife, it's about 6.6 inches. The close length, it's about 3.78. And you've got a blade length of 2.83. Now that is a very nice blade. Very nice thick stock. And I like the fact that the blade's a little thick in terms of this here. It's well weighted. The full weight, it's about 3.17 ounces. So this fits really well in the hand, and I like its pocketability. And I would call this, if you recall from my previous videos, you have the hooligan knife, then you have a gentleman's carry. A gentleman's carry is the kind of knife I can take out to breakfast and have a nice steak and eggs with my Kool-Aid. You know, it's all nice and fancy during my work meeting. Now, I can appreciate a custom knife. Now, you have production knives and you have custom knife. It's like, say, you know, there's nothing wrong with either, but then I started out with production knives and I thought I would stick with production knives, and then I realized there are makers out there that are making custom knives for really well decent price. And this is one of them, and I like it. This is my first custom knife, and let's go through what I like about this knife. First off, I like the deployment method. It's different, it's unique, it's easy for me. I got used to this within the first few hours of owning this knife, and it just fires right out. Now, I should also mention that this runs on bearings, so it makes the deployment real nice. Now, you can have some of the other front flipper knives that deploy based on washers, but I happen to be a fan of bearings, and that just fires right out. Just going to close that and fire it out. And I like the fact that it's a smooth deploy. Nothing ever locks up, and it deploys every time, and it just fires right out. I like how compact this knife is, and I like the fact that the blade, it's a little bit thicker than the handle. I like how this knife feels in the hand. And you can see that it's got these contours, so it's very simple in the fact that it's just well-rounded and simple, and the ergonomics just fit. It just fits well in the hand. I have no issues holding this knife. And there are no hot spots in the sense of rough edges. Everything is really well dialed in. You've got these milled grooves here, which I really like, and makes it really easy to disengage that frame lock. And it just feels good on your thumb. You know, some knives, you try to disengage the frame lock and it just wrecks your thumb. I really like the fact that this is milled and it's easy. I don't have an issue deploying this. I also really like how this knife looks when it's compact, when it's folded in. It feels really good in the hand. The blade shape, I really do appreciate as well. It's a real nice sort of, not overly beefy, but in terms of its thickness, it's very useful, and it's sort of a fat sort of drop point. Things I would have preferred, it's more of a personal choice. It runs on bearings sort of, so it's got a milled out sort of track for the bearings. So I guess you would call those loose bearings. I would have preferred maybe to have something on cage bearings, which would have given it sort of a smoother. And by cage bearings, I'll drop a picture in there. They're sort of bearings that are individual, they're separate on their own, and they don't sort of rely. So these are loose bearings that run inside a groove on there. So it's a little bit gritty, but you have to really be in tune with your knives, and I sit there and I'm in tune with my knife. I mean, I'll crank up some, you know, Kenny G in the background and just sit there and flick my damn knife and look at it and get a feel for it. Face it, a couple of us have done that too. When you have knives, as much as I do, and you can appreciate them, you sit there and you enjoy them. You know, you get some scented candles, get that Kenny G in the background, and you just flick your knife. Can't just be me that's doing that. Now, that's my only, secondly, I would have preferred a deep carry clip. Now, this is a compact knife. It's small, and it sits pretty deep in the pocket. but a little bit of it sticks up, and I would have preferred a deep carry clip. And that's just more of a personal choice. Overall, do I like this knife? Absolutely. This knife will stay in my collection. It'll never, ever leave. It's my very first custom knife, and it's got sentimental value, and I like the maker. I'm going to get his second knife. I recommended this knife to people, and a couple other buddies will be getting it. And it's not like it's a long turnaround time. It only takes a couple months as opposed to other makers, you know, taking a year or so. It's just because people are busy and they're cranking these out. This is a knife that's a keeper. I highly recommend it. It's a sleek knife. It's got dialed in specs. And the user is, the designer and the maker is a very awesome guy to deal with. And he will crank these out. Did I also mention it's got that titanium backspacer that's anodized blue? I mean, that's a damn nice touch. It's just the fine details. But in order to continue here, check them out. Hit me a DM. This is the Bester Ratel. And I hope you enjoyed this. I'll catch you guys later. Just rocking my another watch here. That's the OWC 9411. Snowflake hands. Alright guys, take it easy. Till next time.